And hello one and all, and welcome to my review for last night's edition of SmackDown Live, the December 20th, 2016 edition of SmackDown. And boy, oh boy, for a show that I, didn't have too much expectation going forward into, I knew it could potentially be a decent show, maybe even a good show. Man, was I blown away by the effort last night from SmackDown Live. It continues to show, week in and week out, why it remains the superior brand compared to Monday Night Raw. This episode of SmackDown I enjoyed from start to finish. This episode of SmackDown had storyline and character development. This episode of SmackDown left me wanting more, not less. This episode of SmackDown put a smile on my face. And this episode of SmackDown didn't put me to sleep. So I think you could take an easy guess to is who won the brand war this week? Raw? SmackDown. Exactly. So you notice I didn't even do a Raw review. We're not even gonna talk about Raw, because Raw does not matter. What matters is this show. This is the A show for a reason, and just the level of effort was here tonight, and the excitement for next week's episode of SmackDown Live. I cannot fucking wait for that show. We're going out on this year with a bang, and I love it. I will be watching SmackDown and reviewing it. Going to be doing a live review. Raw, on the other hand, I will not be reviewing that until the start of the new year, because these last two episodes, I know they're not going to try next week, and they didn't try this week, so what's the point? So let's talk about Raw the better. Let's talk about SmackDown Live and what happened on this show. I love the way this show kicked off. We kicked it off with the man, the face that runs the place, the champ that runs the camp, AJ Styles, the phenomenal one, made his way to the ring, and we had the long-awaited match between AJ Styles and James Ellsworth, and you knew that it wasn't going to be long. You knew it was only going to be a matter of seconds, but did you know that all it took was for Styles to hit a snap suplex? He tossed Ellsworth and hit him with, pretty much defeated him in a matter of seconds. It didn't even take that long, so this is exactly what I wanted to see. AJ has no trouble in beating Ellsworth like he should. He should not have any trouble squashing this guy. And afterwards, AJ, he hit some vicious forearm shots, hit a backbreaker on Ellsworth onto the announcer's table. That looked nice. He catapulted Ellsworth face first into the steel ring steps. He catapulted his neck off the ring apron, and he beat him down, and Styles celebrated. He grabbed the mic, and he said, now Ellsworth can go back to the island of misfit toys. So shout out to one of my favorite Christmas specials of all time. You know it. I know it. Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. You don't mess with Rudolph. So Styles says, he doesn't need any Christmas gifts from Santa, and he can now move on to 2017 to hopefully a feud with the dead man, The Undertaker. So, love the way the show kicked off. We eventually had Ziggler come down, stake his claims for being, the number one contender to Styles. But surprisingly, Baron Corbin would come out. I like this, the fact that we're injecting Baron Corbin into the main event scene, giving him an opportunity, because that's what SmackDown is all about, opportunities, And Corbin pretty much said, the fact that he wasn't there last week was, if he was there last week on SmackDown, Ziggler would not be the number one contender. And he pretty much said, you know what, Dolph, why don't you put your number one contendership on the line? And, that match was eventually made official for, tonight's main event, which I was definitely looking forward to. Raise the stakes for the championship match next week on SmackDown Live. And, Ziggler attempted to, attack Corbin after Corbin tried to blindside Ziggler with a big right hand. And then I love when his end of days finisher, Dolph, really sells the hell out of it. I love the way Corbin hit it on him, and Corbin walked out standing tall. So we were off to the races. After this, we had the Intercontinental Championship match. We had The Miz defending his title against Apollo Crews. Crews won the opportunity after pinning The Miz on Tribute to the Troops last week. I thought these two had a good TV match. It was nice to see Crews finally get some much-needed television time. He still needs badly to have a character that I can invest in. While he is a good wrestler, it's just like, once you solve his character identity crisis, then we can definitely go somewhere with Apollo Crews. But Miz, of course, Maurice tried to interfere, but the referee threw her out of ringside. But eventually Miz was able to retain after he hit the finger poke on Apollo Crews, hits the skull-crushing finale to pick up the victory, and Miz retained. So no real surprise there. But after the match, what was surprising, Renee Young comes into the ring. She asks Miz, "What is your obsession with Dean Ambrose?" And the Miz, oh my God, line of the night. What the Miz said here was, he doesn't have an obsession with Dean Ambrose, but Renee, what's your obsession with sleeping with Dean Ambrose? And Renee slapped the hell out of the Miz, and that was definitely shocking. I love the way that it, this felt real almost. It's like she got legitimately pissed, upset. She slapped the Miz and walked away, and Miz, what a dick. What a heel. One of the top heels in WWE. Has a career renaissance in 2016, so one of the shining, I was going to say shining stars. We're not going to go there, but you know what I mean. One of the people that have benefited most from this brand split, and I'm assuming this is going to lead to The Miz versus Dean Ambrose for the IC title at the Royal Rumble. I'll have to say that for my Royal Rumble card predictions, but I liked what we got here from The Miz. And next week, it was also announced on SmackDown Live, we will have a Fatal 4-Way Tag Team Championship match. The Wyatt family will defend against in a Four Corners elimination match with American Alpha, the Usos, and Rhino and Heath Slater. So that is another great addition. Another glorious addition to SmackDown Live next week. We got Cena returning, and we'll get into more announcements for next week's wild card show. It's going to blow Raw out of the water. It'll be so much better than Raw. We had Natalya, Nikki Bella, and an in-ring promo, and Carmella. Started out with Natalya coming down to the ring. She said she's tired of all the rumors. She wanted to put this to rest between her and Nikki, clear the air, state that she wasn't the one that attacked Nikki. Eventually, Nikki would come down to the ring, and, Carmella would rear her ugly head again, trying to poke the proverbial hornet's nest between Natalya and Nikki, but despite the fact Natalya attempted to go after Carmella, and she threw her into the Christmas trees that they had set up on the stage. But then afterwards, as Natalya laid out Carmella, she told Nikki pretty much that she was the one that attacked her, and she called Nikki Bella a bitch right to her face. She said she always despised Nikki. She's Natalya Neidhart, wrestling royalty. She says, "Nikki, you may have been the longest reigning Divas champ, but you worked your butt off, but you got everything because you're beautiful inside and out. But it still doesn't change the fact that Nikki is nothing. You get the magazine covers, red carpets, total divas, and you don't get it because you have amazing personality. You have no charisma." And Natalya said her cat has more charisma than Nikki Bella. And Nikki says she is nothing, and that's why, here's the kicker, John Cena will not marry you, Nikki. And it was just like, oh, so it looks like it was Natalya, after all, who attacked Nikki. I didn't know if they'd go, with the swerve, potentially have Mickie James debut or return on SmackDown, be revealed as the attacker. I'd still like to see that play out, but I thought this was a good promo segment between Nikki, Natalya, and Carmella. I love the fact that on SmackDown Live, we can do more with the women rather than, what's going on with Raw, the women's division scene. So, yeah, just good stuff, and I'm interested to see how they follow this up. After this, we had a backstage segment, Alexa Bliss trying to smooth talk her way out of, explaining to Daniel Bryan the fact that she was injured. She was dealing with a legit injury, even though we all knew that she was faking it the whole time. And, Bliss said her leg still hurts, and, she wants to know, what are you going to do with Becky Lynch? And Bryan said that next week, Becky will get a championship rematch, so another huge match added to next week's loaded SmackDown show. And, Bliss trying to get out of this, and then Bryan said, well, you can go see the trainer if you truly are hurt. And Bryan says to Bliss that you need to wrestle or you'll not be champion next week. So Bliss would be in action tonight on this show. We had our third match of the evening, solid match between Dean Ambrose versus Luke Harper, rekindling their feud rivalry from 2015. Remember that Extreme Rules match they had, the street fight? That was really fun, entertaining. This was a good match. Harper, really physical, hard-hitting, some bitch, I definitely would like to see Luke Harper get an opportunity to shine in this brand split because he is certainly talented and deserving of that. But, you had Randy Orton and Bray Wyatt at ringside, so you knew that somehow, some way, they were going to get involved. Towards the end of the match, Ambrose was able to connect with the inside cradle, and he picked up the victory over Luke Harper. But it was short-lived. Afterwards, Bray Wyatt and Randy Orton would come, and they'd stomp and beat down Ambrose, and the Wyatts would... Wyatt would feed Ambrose to Randy Orton. He would get hit with an RKO. And the Wyatts posed over Dean Ambrose. And then eventually, after the Wyatts left, The Miz would come down to the ring. And as Ambrose struggled to get back up, he hit Ambrose with his own finisher, Dirty Deeds. And it looks like we are going to get a feud between The Miz and Dean Ambrose, which I think could be entertaining. I think they're saving another match between these two, for the Royal Rumble, for the Intercontinental Championship. So Rumble is shaping up to be a loaded show. We then had our fourth match of the evening. It was Becky Lynch versus this mysterious female wrestler. We never heard of her. She kind of just appeared out of nowhere. Her name was La Luchadora. And, at first I was like, okay, who is this? And then, as I was watching throughout the match, I finally put it together by the end of the match who this actually was. La Luchadora revealed herself after beating beating Alexa Bliss. Luchador was able to get her Bliss in with the disarmor, and after that, we all knew that it was actually Becky Lynch underneath the La Luchador mask, and yeah, she got the win via submission, and this sets up nicely for the championship match between Becky and Alexa Bliss next week. Can't wait to see these two go at it again. I've just been enjoying their feud. It's been one of the, better feuds for the women this year in 2016. Alexa Bliss killing it as a heel. Becky thrives as the lovable underdog character. So yeah, it's just can't wait to see what these two do next week on SmackDown Live. The only low point of the show was this fifth match between Kurt Hawkins versus Mojo Rawley. But the nice thing about SmackDown is this was the only filler we got on this show. Unlike Raw, where you usually get 2 to 3 to 4 to 5, upwards of a bunch of filler, this was it. And that's the nice thing about this 2-hour show. It had a flow. It had a pace. We moved along at a clip. Nothing overstayed its welcome, but everything got time to shine. So Mojo Rawley picked up the win, running forearm on Kurt Hawkins. We're not really going to talk about that because there's really nothing to say about that. But one interesting thing, we saw James Ellsworth. He was all bandaged, limping, being helped by the trainers and in the back. And Carmella would come up to James Ellsworth, and as he was trying to be interviewed, she said, "No, get that mic away from him," and it looks like we might be seeing Jay Mella. I don't know how James Mella, however you want to, could there be a relationship going on between James Ellsworth and Carmella? It's certainly something I never saw coming, but I'm interested to see where it goes. I trust on SmackDown that this could be something very entertaining, fun to watch, so we'll have to keep an eye out for this, but just something I noticed, and we'll have to see where that goes. We then had our main event, sixth match of the evening. Winner in this match would take on the right to face AJ Styles for the WWE Championship next week on SmackDown. It was Dolph Ziggler versus Baron Corbin. Good match. We've seen these two. They had their series of just repetitive matches, but this, they gave these guys time away from one another, and therefore this match felt fresh compared to what, this match had purpose. It had a stipulation. Corbin wants to stake his claim in the main event scene. He sees Dolph Ziggler as a loser. Ziggler wants to, prove all those doubters wrong. I thought these two had some good back and forth going in here. Towards the end of the match, as, things were going on, Corbin would send Ziggler face first into the barricade, shoulder first, into the barricade, and Corbin launched Ziggler after that onto AJ Styles. Ziggler hit a super kick on Baron Corbin. With all this commotion and chaos going on out ringside, the referee determined that both guys were counted out. So therefore, Ziggler hit, afterwards, Styles, hit both Ziggler and Corbin in the back with steel chairs, laying both guys out furthermore. Daniel Bryan would come out, his music would hit, make the announcement that next week it'll be, since both guys were counted out, it'll be a triple threat match between Baron Corbin, AJ Styles, and Dolph Ziggler for the WWE Championship. So that's how we went off the air here on SmackDown, and this was a really, really good show. Really good show. Just, if you're not watching SmackDown, you need to watch SmackDown. If you're watching Raw, you don't need to watch Raw. I mean, it's just like, the difference in quality in shows is just astounding. I mean, this was great. This was great stuff, and it set the table for next week. We're going to go out with a bang next year. Like I said, we got Cena's return. We have Alexa versus Becky for the championship. We have a fatal four-way elimination, four corners tag match for the tag team championships, and we have a WWE triple threat championship match. That is a loaded show for SmackDown next week. So I look forward to seeing what they're able to bring to the table in front of a hot Chicago crowd. Next Tuesday, it's going to be lit. So, yeah, my grade for last night's edition of SmackDown, I would go A-. It was an A- show. So great effort from the Blue brand. And yeah, that's it, guys, for my thoughts and opinions on last night's edition of SmackDown. Just want to get the word out. Remember, tonight, Wednesday, December 21st, 2016, 6 p.m. live here on YouTube. It'll be the second annual WWE 2016 Year in Review Awards. I will have a special guest to Club of the Man 1993, my good friend Nerd Coalition, and BSP Wrestling Show, Gene. It'll be great to have all three of those guys on. We're going to share our thoughts and opinions, the categories for the WWE 2016 Year in Review Awards can be found in that video's description box link. So you guys, if you're watching live that night, tonight, feel free to make your own picks for the respective categories. Always enjoy getting fan feedback, so we have that to look forward to. And I also wanted to spill the beans on something that I've been setting up. I will be returning with Giza Wrestling Reports. It's been a while since I've done them. Haven't done one since November, but I wanted to wait, till January, till things pick back up for pro wrestling. And I am happy to announce that for the first edition of the Giza Wrestling Report, tentatively scheduled for Saturday, January 14th, I was able to talk to good friend, the Lex Man. As you all know him, one of the major YouTubers here in the YWC, and it is my honor to announce that he will be coming back on for that January 14th episode of the Giza Wrestling Report. Looking forward to having him on. Just want to say thank you, Alex, for coming back on this channel. I appreciate your support and your kindness, and look forward to having another great discussion with you. So, January 14th, mark your calendars, Giza Wrestling Report with the Lex Man. So that should be a really, really good video. So that is it, guys, for this edition of my SmackDown Live review. Remember to leave your comments down below in the description box for what you thought of SmackDown. And be sure to click my like and subscribe button to continue seeing more video content coming soon from this channel. I will see you guys later on tonight for the Year in Review Awards video. Till then, guys, take care.